Hello, if you're listening to this video, it's because hopefully your child decided to sign up for AP Physics 1 at Incline High School. Yeah, with Mr. Resney, and I'm Mr. Resney, and so I'm going to explain to you what the class is about. Class is about motion. It's actually a really neat class because unlike previous science classes, just about everything we do in there is, at least on a smaller scale, visible to normal human interaction. So we bounce balls, we roll marbles. We look at simple motions of things like cars and people and things like that. And then we can take that forward and say, well, how would that affect the planet? And then planets, now we understand how planets move in such way. The class is a problem-solving class. So when a student takes a test, there is no way to memorize your way to an A. You need to understand the concept. You understand the concept, you understand how things work. Then that's how you do well in the class. Consequently, the class is really centered around kids struggling, because when you take the test, that's the first time you struggle, you're in trouble. So, yeah, we give answers to every single question pretty much for the whole entire year, up to the point where kids take a test. And when they take a test, they have to do it on their own. So the idea is kids go home, do homework, kids in class do work in class, and then when they've tried it and they've struggled with it, they've thought their way through it, then we, okay, this is how the laws apply in this particular case. We work it out until it makes sense. And then we try another problem, another problem. Hopefully they start to get a general idea of how things all go together, rather than how to solve one specific type of problem, because that's not going to be any good in this class. Okay? Because again, it's about big time thinking outside the box, not outside the box, thinking about how the universe actually works. And then once you get these general laws, it's really easy to apply them to just about any situation. And so the class is kind of unique in the sense that, if I've done my job well, if they're doing their job well, they're going to start looking at the world a little differently, which is neat. They start to think about things that they didn't think about before. They start to see things in a different context, which is really kind of neat. So it's kind of fun to teach this class. But again, it's about motion. We're going to do chapters on how things move, projectiles and vectors. We're going to do forces, energy. We're going to do gravity, momentum. We're going to do circuits, and then we're going to do some rudimentary wave mechanics. And that is what is on the Physics 1 test. And afterwards, we'll do some materials things like how buildings and structures work and that sort of thing. A moment to talk about the Physics 1 test. I probably shouldn't start by talking about this, but just talk about everything else that's really cool. How kids will be ready for university. Generally speaking, my kids go off to the university to finally understand the physics well enough that they do well in the physics class. They end up in very, I encourage kids to tell me what's going on out there, and generally they feel pretty good about what happened. It turns out the very first class they take at the university, I used to say you're going to be one grade better. Generally speaking, that's true, because you're that ready. You're certainly ready for university level work when you get more into class. Which leads to this one test, which is the biggest frustration in the class right now. The test is easy. It's poorly worded, full of tricks and twists and weirdnesses that are just hard to describe. It also has a huge piece of grading things that don't generally make a lot of sense if you're talking about, does a kid know physics or not. And so, unfortunately, the test has a bit of a luck issue to it. Sometimes kids get in a groove and understand, and sometimes kids don't. And a kid who knows physics very well, but can't communicate it because they don't write sentences with periods and capital letters, and it becomes about things that shouldn't be about. And by the way, a kid who can explain themselves very well in physics sometimes gets punished because they're not using enough words. What is that? I mean, again, it's in many ways a test. Now I'll try to alert them to these sorts of things and try to explain to them what it is they're looking for. But this test has the lowest pass rate of all the tests. And again, it isn't that like when I explain it, like when kids are taking practice tests and tests from previous years, I'll explain them what the question is. So I'll rephrase the question, and they'll get the right answer every time. It's just a matter of sometimes they're not as clear as they should be, and they know that, by the way. It's not going to help your kids, but they last year started to, and then they kind of got derailed by COVID, and this year in particular, it looks like most of the people that have been writing this test are gone now. Unfortunately, it takes about 3 years for that testing cycle to completely flip over, and so it's going to be another one of these tests where it feels like sometimes kids don't do as well as they should, and frankly, some kids do much better than they should. You're like, okay, you don't know enough physics to do that well, but okay. So, some concerns about the Physics 1 test. Your student is perfectly allowed to sit in this class, take this class, get the same grade, whatever, and take it without the AP test. The only drawback is, instead of saying AP Physics 1, it's going to say Honors Physics. I used to teach this class as Honors Physics for 15 years before this test rolled out. The test is close enough to what we did in class. We now call it AP Physics 1. Basically, it started teaching, the test is supposed to be testing what I was teaching already as a Honors Physics 1 class. And so, in a sense, it's good curriculum. It's just they have to work on the test, and they are. But again, probably not quick enough to help out your kids. And who knows, with COVID, we may have another weird testing cycle we did last year, and who knows what that will mean. So, class is hard, and there's a lot of material. We don't take days off. Kids are working every day. If they're sitting in the room, they're working. If they're at home, they need to be on at the same time, answering questions, able to pay attention. I can show them the board. I can talk to them. I can, they can hear the kids' questions. They can see what the kids are writing. The one big gap I have right now is I really can't tell when the kids are struggling. Okay, they have to ask questions. If they ask questions, they're good as gold. They're not asking questions, I can't really, because of this whole, I can't stand by their desk and look down at their paper. I can't look in their face very easily. That's the biggest gap we have right now, and it's a concern. And I'll keep working on that. I'll keep telling your kids to work on that. I will say this, and I haven't, they're taking the first test starting tomorrow from when I'm recording this. It seems like they're really doing well, and that's good. I was afraid that this was going to go felt like it was going to go much worse than it currently is. The kids are all answering questions at a high level. They're understanding the stuff underneath, and they're not struggling with anything but the really glitchy stuff. So far, so good, which is nice. I had some concerns that this would be a really tough format. I think it still is a tough one for the kids, and I think that's unfair, but it is what we've got. So just make sure they're able to get on every day, make sure they're able to answer questions, make sure they're in a situation where all that's fine. There's that. Kinds of work. They do work in class. They're going to do questions of the week. Every week they have a question of the week due. It's usually a harder question to do every Friday. I make them turn everything in digitally this year, mostly because there's two things. One, if they're at home, I'm really concerned. I don't know what they're doing. And so what I'm doing now is when they turn an assignment digitally by midnight, it's due by midnight. So here's what happens. In class, we do work. We pretty much go over all the answers in class. And if we get done with an assignment, I say, that's what's due today. Turn that in by midnight. And then from that, I can kind of look at what they're doing and say, okay, has this kid got it or not? Not 100%. Sometimes I'll add additional homework assignment. Again, due by midnight. Now, none of these assignments are graded for quality. A, because I'm giving you the answers, and who cares about quality? If you can see the right answer, you can certainly copy it down. But two, because I want to see what they're struggling with. I want to see what the problems are, what they're having, where they're not getting something. And so one reason why I want to turn it in by midnight is so that the next morning I can look at their work and say, okay, this kid needs help with this kid needs help with this, and then they'll be in the class. And so I can specifically target them for additional help. And that's what I want to do in terms of that. What do they need for class? They need a calculator, 4-function calculator. It's handy to have a graph calculator, I'm not going to lie. Scientific calculators are better than normal 4-function calculators, but they don't actually need any of these things. In addition to that, I will loan them a calculator if they need one. Okay, so honestly, they can have one for the whole entire year. They just need to let me know they need one, and I'm perfectly happy to give them one for the year. Okay, so there shouldn't be any great outlaying of cash for calculators. Now, if the kid's going to be an engineer, you might want to invest in a graphic calculator in college anyways, and get used to it. It's handy. But that's more of a math teacher preference sort of thing. If your kid is struggling, like they're misery, they don't understand physics, it's all hard, it's all unreasonable, have them start coming in to see me. I get there at about 6 in the morning. 6:30 they open the doors. I will be there. Okay. The only risk you run is I might be down making copies or something. Which brings up a point. I have a calendar in the back of the room. Anytime they want to come see me, they write, Mr. Redney, see you at 6:45. I need help with assignment 1-7. Okay. And then I'll know where I'm I have the assignment ready to go, and we can work together. But even if they don't sign up, I don't care. Just come on in. Hopefully I'm not wandered off someplace. Then come in lunch, before school, after school, whatever. I anticipate doing a lot of that this year. Physics 1 is a hard class. They need to come in, and again, a little bit of help. Physics 1 of those classes which builds on itself, so help at the front end saves a lot of help later on. We use chapter 1 stuff. I give a final second semester, they'll still be using chapter 1 stuff. Honestly, I'll totally be using chapter 1 stuff. And I'm like, you shouldn't be doing it that way, but they can do it. And so that is, nothing goes away in physics. And so early understanding and keeping on it is really, really important for this class. If you want to get a hold of me, the easiest way is by far is email rresney@washowschools.net. That same email is available at the school district website. It's at school district, at the high school website. And again, it's just rresney@washowschools.net. It's also on the syllabus, which I say is going to be attached somewhere nearby wherever you're watching this video link from. If I've missed anything, you have any questions at all, please let me know. Perfectly happy to help. If I don't get back to you on an email in 2 days, something weird has happened, I apologize. Please send me another email, or just know that something's happened. It doesn't take longer than 2 days to get hold of anybody for any reason. It's pretty easy email for me because it's 24 hours. I can do whatever. Questions for me? Let me know, and I'm happy to help. And again, frankly, really delighted with this bunch of kids. I think they're doing really, really well. I don't know them well enough to say that out loud, so I'm kind of crossing my fingers a little bit. And this format is not. We had a whole week of smoke last week. Yay. But they're hanging in there, and they're asking the right questions, and they're following things really, really well. So it's a good sign, and I'm happy to have them in there. So again, any questions, please let me know by email. And again, feel free to send your kids before school, after school, lunch. It's fun. It's fun talking physics. it's fun talking about how to learn things, how to think about things. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to all this nonsense. Again,